So, Judge Brown, we're talking about recent reports that the Trump administration has deployed more ICE officials in Travis County. This just happening within the last week. I got confirmation from the Mexican consulate yesterday that, yes, operations are underway, more agents are involved. Couldn't give me a number, though. I kind of wanted to get your reaction. We're seeing, obviously, immigration crackdown happen in mass numbers. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I got no notice from ICE or the federal government or anyone that this was happening in our county, in Travis County. Um, you know, we passed a resolution as a commissioner's court a little while ago, um, you know, kind of demanding that any law enforcement operating in Travis County follow due process, things like that. So I hope at a minimum that that will be honored here in Travis County, that our Constitution will be followed. Um, I've got to say that it is, creating what my understanding initially, 6 months, 8 months ago, when the Trump administration was talking about ICE raids and sending ICE to communities, it was to go after violent criminals. Um, they are not doing that now. They have cast a much wider net than that. I hope, and it sounds like they're doing that, or they will be doing that here in Travis County, which is disappointing. Um, I think that the fact that, in some other places at least, and even here in Travis County a few months ago, that they have targeted schools is not acceptable. We don't want to cause additional trauma to kids these days, especially with everything that's going on in this world, everything that we saw happen yesterday, all the shootings and things like that. We just don't want to create additional trauma for kids. And so, schools, hospitals, churches, should be safe places for people.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also seen President Trump deploy federal agents to cities that he says are high crime cities like Chicago, DC, even though we know that violent crime in those areas are trending downward. He's still nonetheless deployed these federal agents. Fox News was reporting that Texas is on the list, but the governor couldn't confirm if Austin is one of those cities. Basically, no one could confirm if Austin was one of those cities, but we know that the president is going after these stronghold Democratic cities. Have you heard anything from maybe federal officials that Austin could be on that list? And if so, what's kind of your reaction to that?
I have not heard anything about that in Travis County. I do know in Travis County, I've been judge for 5 years. We've invested each year in increasing salaries and support for the Travis County Sheriff's Department. So that's the law enforcement entity that is under our budget. To fully support them, help them recruit good, talented people. And, so I respect our local law enforcement. I think that our local law enforcement is doing a good job. I think that it can be very disruptive and create distrust among the population about law enforcement when people start seeing that ICE is, showing up at schools or churches or things like that. I think it has a negative effect on people who maybe don't have legal status, are being here, but are victims of a crime. I think it reduces the likelihood that people in that situation would call law enforcement if they're a victim of domestic violence or things like that. And so I think there's got to be a better way to go about this. I wish someone, frankly, in the federal government would come up with a proposal that Republicans and Democrats over the years have called for. Ronald Reagan, former President George H.W. Bush, to have a path for people who want to work here legally, abide by the laws here legally. We need to increase the availability of visas for people to do that. I think at this point, we're looking at harming our industry. We're looking at harming employers in the area, construction folks in the area, home builders, things like that. And there's got to be a better way, frankly, than the way the Trump administration is approaching this.
As you know, 16 de septiembre is coming up, Mexican Independence Day, huge for the Hispanic community here in Austin. And there's a celebration that's happening in downtown Austin. But we do know that people are shying away from it, not wanting to show up out of fear of immigration raids happening there, especially with the increased presence that the Mexican consulate confirmed to me. You kind of touched on this a little bit about this certain population, the undocumented population, not wanting to report crime out of fear of consequence. What do you say to that? Do you have any advice for people? What's your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, let's work together on finding violent criminals in our community and having law enforcement arrest them, indict them, prosecute them for those crimes. The way the Trump administration has gone about this ICE enforcement is creating fear among people across the board, especially kids in elementary schools where ICE is showing up or has shown up at least here in Travis County and has done so in other places as well. I think we need to focus on constructive solutions that will allow employers in our area, restaurants, home builders, things like that, to find a way for people to gain legal status and help support our economy and help support this great state of Texas instead of creating fear with no real, as far as I can tell, no real long-term policy of how it is that we're going to keep our economy going. We're going to keep encouraging people to come to this great country of ours legally. It just doesn't seem like the Trump administration is doing it the right way. It seems like a misguided policy, and I would encourage someone at the federal level. The Republicans, control all arms of government at the federal level. I would encourage someone there to rise up and propose a better solution that can lead to a place where people who want to come to this great country, work here, be productive folks, to find a way legally to do that in bigger numbers than we currently allow, and to allow employers that want to give people an opportunity to work here to do so.
Judge Brown, my last question for you is if Trump, ends up deciding that he would like to deploy National Guard troops to, Austin to handle crime the same way that he has in DC, Chicago, Los Angeles, would you direct Travis County Sheriff's deputies to work alongside federal officials?
I haven't heard that he's considering that. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah. I didn't run this by Bridget, but I feel like now that I have you, I should probably ask if you have reaction on Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think all gun violence is abhorrent. I think this country has, frankly, way too lax of gun laws. We haven't done simple things here in Texas like enacting red flag laws, raising the age to buy assault rifles to 21, having stronger mental health checks on people who are trying to get firearms of any sort. We have not done enough here in Texas, and frankly, it's a bipartisan thing. I know that Matthew McConaughey and others had this proposal, and frankly, just fizzled with this Texas legislature that we have. I think there's so much more that we can do to help prevent gun violence in this community. It is so sad that in Austin, in Colorado, and what happened to Charlie Kirk all involved gun violence. And that was just one day. That was just one day. Every day we are seeing kids being killed by guns. We're seeing mass shooters across the United States. And it's a horrible situation. And the thing is that we don't have to be in this situation. We need to enact better gun laws. We need to have more mental health resources in our community. There is so much more that we could be doing to make this a safer community. That's why here in Travis County, we're working hard to develop a mental health diversion center to provide mental health to folks that don't have access to that currently. And I've been a strong supporter and would support anyone at the Texas legislature, Republican or Democrat, who would be willing to bring some common sense gun laws to our state and help things like having red flag laws, raising the age to 21, and doing stronger mental health checks for people, especially people trying to buy assault rifles.
Perfect. So all said. Anything else that you want to add on anything that maybe I haven't asked you, but you think is important to mention?
I mean, just, we've seen over the last few months, over the last year, attempted political killings of Democrats and Republicans. And I think people need to take a step back and look at the fact that we pride ourselves on a country of having open discourse, being able to say that we disagree, being able to say that I disagree with people at the Texas legislature, that they disagree with me. And we have forums to do that. We have elections, we have debates, we have legislative sessions to talk about those things. And the thing that I think separates us from so many countries in the world is that we don't resort to violence largely, and we need to fight that urge and stop it wherever we can, whatever side of the political spectrum it happens on.